It's 10-pin bowling telecasts, presented by AMF.
From the Logan City Lanes in sunny Queensland, the Nine Network presents the 1986 Goldpin Coca-Cola Classic. Your commentators, John McCoy and Steve Mackey.
From the Logan City Lanes, Nine's Wide World of Sports welcomes you to the Coca-Cola Classic. Australian Airlines have flown competitors to Brisbane from all over Australia for this event, and this year it carries some wonderful prizes. The men's winner will receive $2,000 from Coca-Cola, the women's winner $1,000, plus both of the winners will be flying with Qantas, the Spirit of Australia, to Las Vegas next year to compete in a high roller tournament which will carry prize money of $1 million US. So there's certainly some great bowling coming up and some wonderful prizes at stake. Joining me for commentary will be the former Australian champion, Steve Mackey. Steve, the tournament looks like being a beauty, and what about the first match?
Well, we've got 26 bowlers in the tournament. The first match is going to be a very good one as well. It's Tony Rodrick of New South Wales against traditional rivals Queensland's Peter Lepp.
Peter Lepp is a bank officer from the North Brisbane suburb of Aspley. He has a highest game of 279, was in the Coca-Cola final in 1985, and was the runner-up in the State Masters in 1982 and in the Brisbane Masters of 1985. Tony Rodrick comes from Marryong in the western suburbs of Sydney. He's been bowling since he was 8 years of age. He has a highest game of 300, and that perfect game was scored just recently when he was the winner of the South Coast Open.
The opening match of the Coca-Cola Classic. And it's Tony Rodrick. Opening up for New South Wales. Open up nicely there with a good pocket hit on the first shot.
And should leave him little or no trouble to pick up the spare in the first. Always a confidence booster to pick up a strike or a spare in the opening frame.
Yes, that's for certain. And Tony's left an 8-pin there. Shouldn't present any problems to him. He throws a very, very wide arcing hook ball.
Left-hander, of course, Tony Rodrick. Gets his spare, and so Peter Lepp will now come up and bowl 2 frames. And Steve, we've got some great bowlers in the Coca-Cola Classic in both the men's and women's division for this season.
Yes, in the men's section, we've got the Australian Masters champion, Kevin Harding of South Australia. We've got Terry Wenban of New South Wales, the current Australian bowler of the year. We have Steve Wimbridge of West Australia, Tom Curry, Paul Morland, the defending champion, of course, and Alan Atkins of Queensland. And we've got the Australian Open champion, Steve Lovell of Victoria. In the women's division, we've got Ruth Gerster of Tasmania, Carol Gianotti of West Australia, Cheryl Munson of New South Wales, and in the State of Origin matches that we've got this year, Jeanette Baker-Flynn representing Victoria. But we've got Peter Lepp on the lanes now, Tony Rodrick's opponent in this first match, and he's faced with the single pin, the 7-pin in the corner there. No problems for Peter Lepp in the opening frame.
So both taking away spares in the opening frame, and Peter Lepp will now go over to lane 11 to bowl his second frame.
Well, there's $5,000 being put up by the Goldpin bowling centres, the organisers of the tournament up here in Queensland, for the first 300 game bowled in the TV final this year. Of course, it won't be knocked off in this match. The best they can do is 290.
As we said earlier, Tony Rodrick did it in a recent tournament, but he was wishing he could have done it in this one as well. So the first strike of the Coca-Cola Classic for this year goes to Queensland's Peter Lepp.
Yes, and getting the round of applause he perhaps deserves from the very large and rather parochial, I might say, crowd up here at Logan City Lanes, and showing his pleasure with that one. Well, that'll be a good confidence booster for him. He's up against an extremely hard man to beat. Went on, Tony Rodrick. 16 years experience in the sport. Tony started bowling when he was 8, as you said, but he had a 6-year layoff in the middle there, and he's back with a vengeance now, just winning recently his first tournament, the South Coast Open at Warrawong Bowl. He's been a finalist in the South Pacific Classic 4 years and will shortly, I'm sure, break through for a win in a very big tournament.
Extremely good crowd here at Logan City Lanes for the Coca-Cola Classic. Coming back in to pick up his spare in the second.
Yes, Tony, a bowler that's quite at ease with things. Very nonchalant about the game. Doesn't seem to get too flustered in these match play situations. He's had a few runner-up positions, including the South Coast Open the prior year, the Western Open and the Cool Foam Cup up here at Logan City Lanes. In fact, he bowled very well in the finals of that tournament on this very pair of lanes. So he's got something going for him mentally there.
Didn't like that from the moment it left the arm. He shook his head in disgust and he knew that he was going to be in trouble, and he's got an almost impossible split to pick up his spare.
Yes, knew that it had got away from him. And I think he might go for this. He's changed bowling balls. He's bowling with a different one now. Hoping to hit the extreme left-hand side of that pin. He's having a go for it. Oh, boy.
Oh, so close, but very, very difficult to get away with.
And getting a nice round of applause for that excellent effort there. Have a look at this one. He doesn't miss it by much.
No, that's about as close as you could go to pick up that extremely difficult spare. So he leaves an open frame in the third. And Peter Lepp, the strike to build on in the second. Now with the chance to build a healthy lead. Oh, and a little lucky there.
Yes,
he could have been left with a difficult split as well until that pin decided to topple over.
Yes, I wonder what hit it. Let's have a look and see what did. It was certainly standing momentarily there. Well, he's had it hit from the back. You can be fortunate sometimes. Well, Peter Lepp was in our TV program last year. He bowls with a semi-fingertip grip, the fingers halfway between the first and second joints. It's a game of deep concentration. Fitness certainly plays a part, but concentration and mental fitness are a big feature in the game at this level of play. And that is a fingertip grip. Fingers only, the last joint in the ball. That's a good way to take the lead. 2 strikes in a row while the opponent's sitting on the bench, and that has given Peter Lepp plenty to think about.
Puts the pressure back on the Queenslander Peter Lepp. Start of his 5th frame.
Also getting good pin action, but noticing in stark contrast, the ball doesn't turn very much as it nears the pins. Peter's a very accurate bowler. As I said, he relies on accuracy. He's got an average in Brisbane in the 190s. He's had some wins over the years and some runners-up positions in the State Masters and the Brisbane Area Masters. But in the experience stakes, certainly Tony Rodrick would lead by far there. I remember Tony, when he was 9, 10 years old, he used to go to one of the centres in Sydney and he'd sneak upstairs and do a bit of practice when he wasn't supposed to be bowling, of course, and I was there with him at the time. So we go back quite a long way in learning the sport.
Peter Lepp moves across to lane 11. And a strike in the 6th.
And you don't hit them much better than this one. 7 pin the last to go. Yes, Peter Lepp showing that at age 49, bowling is a sport for all ages. There's people in Australia 3 years of age up to 92 years of age who bowl every week in league competition around the country. Looking for 3 strikes.
Very nearly did so. But just that solitary pin, which he'll be able to pick up for his spare.
Got out of it a little soon, perhaps. That meant that the ball turned more as it neared the pins, and that's the result. A 6-pin leave for Tony Rodrick, when had he got it out a little further on the lane, he may have struck. He's in trouble.
Oh, just got it. It did look for a moment that that ball wasn't going to hook in. And just at the last moment, he was able to pick it up to take the spare.
Yes, well, he lost that shot too, so that's 2 balls in a row that he's had fall off his fingers.
So at the end of the 5th frame, Peter Lepp of Queensland leads by 3 pins. 98 plays 95.
And Peter taking a little time out there.
So he was praying, actually.
Yes, he did. That's a good one by Tony. And Tony goes for a little run to the left to ride that one home. And what a good-looking shot it was. All the way. Well, that was much further out on the lane. And clapping home this strike.
Oh, and a little bit of luck for Peter Lepp. Could well have been in trouble had those last couple of pins not tumbled. He's still left with 1 for his spare.
Yes, let's have a look at this. It barely touches the head pin, but that speed getting him all this pin action. Look at that. That 1 pin doing quite a bit of damage there and leaving him just the 7 pin to go for. The 3rd time he's gone for this pin in 7 frames.
And lucky with that 1 pin just bouncing back to take 3 with it.
Excellent pin action for Tony Rodrick to give him 9 there. The ball diving up on him as it gets near the pins. Tony's one of the top 10 rated bowlers in Australia, as voted by the Australian Bowling Writers Association. He finished 10th in the voting. That's his highest performance ever, so certainly a bowler on the improve, and with that recent win under his belt at Wollongong, he'll go a long way now.
So the spare in the 9th for Tony Rodrick.
And the Queensland crowd hoping that their man Peter Lepp has said the right few words. And as we'll see so often in this tournament, I'm sure the bowler sitting in the bench doesn't look at the opponent bowling.
Peter Lepp hoping to build on his strike in the 8th frame. But that makes it very difficult. A hard split for him to pick up his spare here.
Yes, he's in trouble now, John, and that ball with no penetrating power at all. The moment it hit the head pin, you could see it veer to the right. Got out of the ball too quickly, and no lift at all. Eager to get rid of it. But this is obtainable, and he'll be trying.
Doesn't succeed. So opens up the frame.
And Joan Lepp, Peter's wife, hoping that her husband was going to nudge the left side of that 5 pin, but it didn't happen for him, and I think he had to go for it, although by missing both pins, it's cost him 2 pins in the score, and that could be costly come 10th frame time.
Incidentally, his wife Joan will be one of the competitors in the women's section of the Coca-Cola Classic. That looks better. So a nice way to hit back.
And the first ball of the 10th, and Joan willing him, as are many of the spectators here, to get one more strike in the 10th frame. That will keep Tony Rodrick in the hot seat. If he gets another strike, it puts him into the 190s. Tony Rodrick at the moment bowling at a 194 pace. Cliffhanger to open up our series. Looking for a double. Yes, well, that could have been anything when it hit the pins. That was 7, 8, 9, and almost a strike, but it'll give him a game in the 180s, and it will keep Tony Rodrick very honest in the 10th. Tony will need a spare or a strike to win the match.
Picks up the spare to finish with 184. Peter Lepp.
And what must be going through Tony Rodrick's mind now? Will I go for broke and try to strike to win the match? Or should I play it safe and leave an easy spare to get for victory? One wonders what's happening up there. Tough decision.
Tony Rodrick across to lane 12. Left-hand action, hooking it back in.
Well, he's left an easy spare, and that's the second time he's left the 1 and the 3 pins on lane 12, but it shouldn't present him any problems. He covered it beautifully in the 8th frame, and all he needs to do is get the spare to win the match and go on to play Queensland's John Willans in our next men's round.
So this for the match.
He's got it.
Well bowled, Tony Rodrick.
Well, he has to stay behind the foul line now. There's a black line up there, and if he has his foot go over that, he'll score a 0. That's the line where the gutter starts. All he needs to do is stay behind the line. He's changed bowling balls. He wants to throw it straight down the middle. And no worries for Tony Rodrick of New South Wales, going on to win the first game by 7 pins over Peter Lepp.
191 to 184. The winner by 7, Tony Rodrick of New South Wales. You check though, and just that open frame near the end that cost you the match, perhaps.
That's the way it goes, John. That's the way it goes.
Thanks, Peter. Well played. Our winner, Tony Rodrick. Tony, congratulations.
Thank you, John. Thanks very much.
Well, there's $5,000 if the first bowler that can bowl a perfect game. You've done it just recently. Perhaps with that one game under your belt, next game round might be the one.
Perhaps it might be.
All right. Thanks, and we look forward to seeing you back in our next match.
Thank you, John.
And in fact, that next game will be between Tony Rodrick and Queensland's John Willans. And we'll look forward to seeing you soon on Nine's Wide World of Sports from Logan City Lanes and the Coca-Cola Classic.